All right, folks, episode 3 of the vlog. This is the last of the backstory episodes before I switch into the monthly format. In this episode, I'm going to be diving into some of the branding updates that I've made recently. So let's jump into it. This all started when I decided to make an EPK, or an electronic press kit. At the moment, I have a collection of around 6 songs that I'd like to release as an EP. I really love them and believe in them, so I plan on submitting them to Seeking Blue, which is a label that's home to some of my favorite artists and people that I look up to, like Dabin, Said the Sky, Seven Lions, and of course my favorite artist of all time, Illenium. Getting a release on their label has recently become a goal of mine. In the past, I haven't been super interested in labels, and I probably won't submit to anywhere else, because honestly, at this point in time, you can accomplish so much independently. But Seeking Blue just seems like a really amazing community to be a part of. And at the end of the day, community is kind of what this is all for anyways, and it's something I feel like I'm lacking, so I'm just gonna give it a shot and see what happens. Anyways, back to the EPK. From what I understand, an EPK is basically like a brochure for you as an artist. It gives some pictures, some stats, a bio, and I feel like it's something that really shows that you take yourself seriously as an artist. It might be overkill, I'm not totally sure, but I figure regardless of how necessary it is to submit to a label, it's just a good thing to have. So, step 1 was photos. Colorado makes this easy. I found a spot called South Table in Golden, with tall grass and an incredible overlook. My trusty friend Ross came along to take photos, as well as my other roommates who just wanted to be there for the vibes. We used an 85mm lens, which is really good at getting some cinematic shots, which I think is pretty cohesive with my brand. Checking the photos in post, I feel like we got some really good shots. With the photos in hand, I put together the EPK. While I was writing the bio, I realized none of my current online presence reflects the brand that I'm trying to pitch right now. My socials are pretty much non-existent, and what is there looks pretty inconsistent and also just kind of amateur. So I feel like if you want people to take you seriously, you have to look the part. So at that point, I went down a pretty serious branding rabbit hole, and it became more and more apparent the importance of having a really strong brand. So I decided to dig into what I would want that to look like for myself. The first thing I focused on was color. One thing I've always wanted is an Instagram feed that feels really cohesive. And a great way to do that is to have a similar color scheme in all of your posts. One great example of this is Oblivion. I feel like she does an amazing job of keeping her feed looking very cohesive. So, after finding a bunch of inspiration photos and organizing them into a mood board, I was able to create a color scheme. A lot of my inspiration was basically just the sky at sunset, that mix of light pinks and blues. Pro tip, in Canva, once you drag a picture in, it will show you the colors of that picture, which you can use to create stuff with. After playing around with a lot of different color schemes, I landed on sky blue being my main color, and then having a lot of different supporting tones. I actually mocked up a feed with my inspiration photos, and then tested my studio shots with color correction and a blue visualizer, and it looked pretty solid. As a final touch to the studio, to reinforce the color scheme, I added a cheap snowboard that I found on Facebook Marketplace as wall art. It throws in some blue and also ties to the Colorado aesthetic. The last piece of the puzzle was a logo. I've paid for logos in the past, but I've never really loved them. So I decided I'm gonna try to do this myself. I kept it simple and bold, inspired by Illenium and Griffin's logo, with a subtle nod to Avicii by reusing his A, which I think is pretty cool. I went through a bunch of different variations. I got some input from friends, including good old Ross. He ended up having the winning idea, which was to connect the L and the A at the end, which really helped bring it together. And now the goal is to apply this branding everywhere. Album covers, profile pictures, color correction, all of it. It'll take some time to show up on my feeds, but it does give me a clear direction to stick to. And that wraps up this video. Can't wait to start applying all of this to new content and upcoming releases. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'll see you next episode, which will be my September recap, which I got some really cool stuff planned for, including some new music. So don't miss it. All right, that's it for me. See you later.